Hey guys, it's Sara Oehler, and of course, most of you that know me know I am the sales and marketing manager for Softlex Company. And typically, this time of year, I would be in Milwaukee at the Bead and Button show. But unfortunately, because there's so much going on with my family moving for the summer and with myself going on to JTV in just gosh, is it like a week and a half now? June 19th and 20th, I'm going to be on Jewel School. So making it to Milwaukee this year was just in the too tough basket. And I'm so sad as I watch all of my friends enjoying their time there and setting up their booths and going to classes. So I started to think about how I could take the concept of the bead show and bring it here with all of you who are probably also not attending the Bead and Button show, and how we could sort of celebrate in our own way in sort of a virtual bead show of sorts. So part of that for me was breaking down what a bead show is when you go to the Softlex Company booth. And there's so many things that we do, great things that we do at the show that we don't always do online. And so I wanted to take advantage of this opportunity to bring some of those things to everywhere, anyone, everywhere, wherever you happen to be. So I've got some great deals, which we would always have if you were visiting the Softlex Company booth. I have got some demonstrations. I have some that I've thought about doing, but I'm also open to your suggestions today. And then the third thing I have is a really great giveaway. So I want you to stay tuned so you can be part of that giveaway. So to get started, I'm going to actually flip the camera down over on my bead mat, and we'll definitely get going here. So I see a bunch of friends already. Hey Cindy, hey Lydia, hey Cree, hey Rochelle, hey Ginger, hey Sharon, hey Patrice, thanks for joining me. So you guys are joining my live virtual bead show. We're gonna make the best of not going to Bead and Button together. Maybe some of you are there at Bead and Button, I don't know. But you know, hopefully we'll get a little piece of it here in Sonoma and kind of do a little pretending along the way. So I'm going to flip this camera down so you guys can see my beautiful bead mat here. It is pretty cloudy here in Sonoma today. So here, I'll flip up. You can see our parking lot, but you can also see it's pretty gray out there. So I tried to get as close to a window as I could so I could get sort of some good real light. Let me adjust myself here so I can get into a good position where I can talk with you guys. So, are any of you going to the Bead and Button show? I guess that's a good first question. I wish I was, but I'm not. But I'm going to do my best pretending job. So the first deal I have for you that we're doing on our website, and it is 25% off with just a few exclusions, and they're all listed on our website, which is www.softlexcompany.com. You can find it on the bottom of any of our spools, and that discount coupon is Bead Show, BEADSHOW. That 25% off is good for anybody, anywhere. So normally we wouldn't run that deep of a discount, but because we're not going to Bead and Button this year, we are doing a little bit more than we normally would for anybody, anywhere. So you guys can all partake. The second deal I have for you, I'm going to go through that real quick, and then we'll do a nice demonstration of your choosing. But the second deal I have is pretty awesome. This is actually a customer suggestion. I had a viewer suggest that I'm using the magical crimpers often. She had never used our products before, and she asked if we could put a kit together for somebody who is brand new to beading and make it easy for them. And so what I did was I put together just a basics kit. You can find this under gift ideas on our website. and you'll see gift ideas at the top. It has just the basics. So it's got this great Softflex trio that has 3 10-foot spools, 30 feet total, but all 3 diameters of beading wire, which is awesome, because then you get a little bit of 014, which is going to be for pearls and seed beads and light weaving, a little bit of 019, which is the most commonly used diameter, because it'll fit a small hole, but it can handle things that are a little more abrasive. And then the 024, which is our thickest for bracelets, eyeglass holders, things that are going to get a lot of wear and tear. You would put it onto the 024 heavy Softflex. It also contains the magical crimpers that I use on a very regular basis. It contains jump rings to go along with the lobster clasps, 2 by 2 millimeter crimp tubes, and this is a 50 count package of them. And then some ear wires as well. So you're getting a little bit of everything. So if you've never done any beading before, I highly suggest this. Just on a regular basis, it's marked 20% off since it's all kitted together. But I asked the owner if I could do a special 10% off coupon on top of that. If you use coupon code MAGICAL, MAGICAL, you're going to get 10% off on this particular kit, and that discounts the price down to $54.44 for the total kit. So that's really a nice price to get started and have everything you need, every diameter, all the right crimps, ear wires, and the pliers too. So I think that's just a really neat deal. Rochelle says, excellent basic beginner pack, Sarah. Thank you, Rochelle. I can't remember exactly who had suggested it, but I thought it was a really nice idea. So that is now available on our website all the time. And this magical coupon, I believe, is good for just the next week while this video is running. So definitely take advantage of that. If you're brand new to beading, that's a good fit for you. And so moving along, that is my second big deal that I have for our virtual bead show today. And I'm going to do a demonstration, I think. So I've got a few different options. I can show you how to do Softflex wire on the Kumihimo to get it started. I can show you how to finish off a knitted design on the knitting spool. I can show you how to crimp, obviously. You know, I'm always big on crimping. I also have some craft wire here, so I could show you how to do like a basic loop, like an eye pin or a connector or a dangle or any of those things. So I'm open to your suggestions, and if you guys just kind of tell me what you're thinking, I will get stuff together here and demonstrate just like I would at a bead show. Like if you came up to me at the bead show, I'd probably say, well, what do you want to see today? So that's kind of what we're doing. Is what do you want to see today? So we've got 3 options on the table to start. Let's take these options and see which one I'm going to get the most of. Craft wire, okay. Kumihimo, knitting spool, knitting. Got 2 knittings, 2 craft wires. I'll give you a couple more. A little bit longer. What are you in the mood to show us? Oh, Ginger, you're very sweet. I love all of it, so I'm happy to do just about everything. Why don't we do a mixture of the knitting spool and maybe the craft wire? So I can go ahead and finish this off, and maybe we can make some sort of connector with the craft wire so that we can connect it to a clasp. And that way we're doing a little bit of both and everybody's getting what they want. So I had been trying something out for one of the classes I'm teaching. I was wondering if I could make a long enough knitted rope using just the 10-foot spools of wire. And unfortunately, you can see it's a little too short. It's not quite long enough. This is probably about 4 inches in length. It would be great if you're gonna mix it in with some beads, which I might do as well. But in the meantime, I need to take this guy off of here because I've got a new project that I want to do. So I thought I would wait and do this while you guys were watching. So if you have ever done our knitting before, you can see what that looks like when I finish it off. So I'm going to go ahead and trim from the spools here. Let me find my cutters. I'm using my fancy dancy Softlex cutters. With that wonderful Bead Show coupon, 25% off, you can get 25% off on Softlex cutters, which is fantastic. And Thomas, I saw that you posted the link. Can you make sure you're posting the expiration date? Because that's something I did not write down here. I think it's the 20th of June is when that Bead Show coupon expires, but I want to be sure I'm giving the right information. Oh, I cut it just a little short, but we'll see. We should probably be okay. Okay, so I trimmed my wires. I would normally trim them just a little bit longer than this because you actually usually go around the whole thing. But I did trim them a little short just because of the way this one was on the spool already pretty short. But we'll make it work. Okay, so I am going to string my 2 wires. I use 2 wires in this design. There's a black and a satin silver. I'm going to take both of those wires, and you can see how there's loops around the peg. I'm actually going to string my wires through the loop on the peg. And I'll see if you guys can kind of see that as I pull it. So I just strung them right through, because I'm going to create what's sort of like a drawstring bag. And normally I would just go around the whole thing, but because I cut these a little short, I'm just going to actually pull these wires right off of this loop here, because it won't matter too much. And that way I'll be able to get a little closer. And then I'm going to go on to the next one. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take my 2 wires and I'm going to string them through the loop that's around the peg. Let me see if I can get these guys out of here. And I was doing, this is a knitting style 3. If you look on our website, we have different styles of knitting. So I just went through those 2 loops there. And then I'm going to do the next one. Same deal. You do all 4 pegs. You want to get through your loops entirely, pull it off. And then my last one, oop, oop. I'm going to go through my loops. And then all you have to do is pull, and as you do that, you'll see it's like a drawstring bag. It draws it all down. You'll often see in designs that use the knitting spool that the end will be covered with like a cone. Here's an example, and that's because it almost always looks a little funny at the end, and that hides all of those kind of silly imperfections. So here's a great example of that. Here's another good example of using a cone at the end. And then there's some options for how you close it off. You can actually crimp it, you know, right to a clasp or a connector. You can also, and this is something I have done sometimes, is make an eye pin with your craft wire and attach the wire with a crimp inside the cone, and then I actually wire wrapped the connection there. So why don't we do something kind of like that? We'll make an eye pin so you can see what that looks like using the craft wire. Okay, so getting out my craft wire. Even the craft wire, if you use the Bead Show coupon, it's just literally Bead Show, BEADSHOW, on our website, www.softlexcompany.com. You're going to get 25% off on your craft wire. You're going to get 25% off on your beading wire, the knitting spool tool, if you want to buy that, cutters, the whole shebang. It's the whole website, other than a few exclusions that are listed right there on the home page. Okay, so Softlex craft wire. If you've never used it before, it is awesome. It is a copper-based wire. This particular one has a silver plating. And then it's coated in like a polyurethane coating. And what I've been told is that's what makes it hypoallergenic and non-tarnishing, because it actually protects that sterling silver plating and doesn't let it change colors or really even get exposed to the elements. So I am going to just put my spool clip back on so that my wire doesn't run away with me. And then what I like to do whenever I start is just run some nylon jaw pliers over the top of that. And I'm making just a basic connector. I use a pair of round nose and usually a pair of chain nose. And I'll start with my chain nose and make a 90-degree angle, and the wire points towards me. And then I pick up my round nose right into that notch where the 90-degree angle is. And I like to push the wire up and over my round nose pliers. Let me see if I can get a pretty good angle where you guys can see that pretty well. And then I usually adjust my plier just a little bit to the side. So I've actually just spun it from here to here. And then I pull the wire all the way under to create that nice loop. And then if I am going to actually wrap it around, like you could just trim it and make this an eye pin at this point. But if I were to wrap it around, I would hold on to that loop with my chain nose, and then I would just wrap. I usually use my fingers unless I'm doing a lot of it. Then I would resort probably to a second pair of chain nose pliers, because that's definitely a lot of work on your fingers if you're doing it yourself. Cindy asks, the craft wire is full soft. Yes, yes it is. It does start off soft and it gets more and more harder as you work with it. So there is my loop that I've made, and now I'm just going to trim my wire using the flush side of my cutter, which is the flat side. I'm going to get in nice and close and trim. And then if I feel like it's still sticking out just a little bit, which it doesn't look like it is in this case, I would tuck in that end to make sure that it's nice and tight. Maybe you can see it a little better this way. Okay, so now if I'm attaching to this guy, because I'm going to pull it through a cone, what I would do is I would trim a pretty generous piece of wire, because you don't want to run out of wire. That's not going to be a good deal. And I need to get, let me find a crimp here. I think this is 01, yeah, it is 014, so I should be able to fit through my 2x2 millimeter crimp tubes with both strands. These are 2x2 soft flex crimp tubes. So they're very thick and very strong. It's really important to have a quality crimp tube. And most of you that watch me regularly know I harp on this over and over and over, but it is extremely important if you want a good, strong connection in your design. And it's especially important when you're doing something like this guy, which actually rolls over my wrist. It doesn't have a clasp. So these crimps are under a lot of regular stress as this pulls over my hand to get onto my wrist. So anytime you have a connection like that, it's so important that you're using good quality crimps. Okay, so I've got my 2 wires from my knitting spool design. I'm going to go ahead and string this 2x2 millimeter crimp tube, and I'm just going to kind of pull this nice and tight because I want to make sure I'm getting, you know, the best end of it. And then I will string my connection here that we created using the Softflex craft wire and go back in back into my crimp tube. And I'm doing it with both wires. One thing I do sometimes do, let me see how this looks. I like to make sure my wires are connecting nicely. This doesn't matter nearly as much because a cone is going over it eventually. But do think about that too when you're connecting two wires. You want them to lay nice and flat, and you can see here how they're sort of doubling up. So if you were to just leave it like this and this was showing, that just doesn't look very good. So in the case of where it's actually going to show, I would go back and pull one wire out and put them each in individually. But in this case, it doesn't really matter because we're going to pull it right through a cone. So I'm going to go ahead and crimp. In this case, I'll just use the regular crimping pliers. So if you've never seen these guys before, the bottom hole has a tooth. Let me close it up. The top hole is round. I'm going to use the bottom hole first. It's going to create sort of a little divot into my crimp tube. And then I'm going to use the rounder at the top to round it in. And I'm just going to go around it with that rounder several times, tightening it down, cinching that crimp into the nylon coating. You want it to be nice and tight. You don't want to use so much force though that you really compress that crimp to death. I mean, there's sort of a nice medium compression that you use, like you're shaking somebody's hand. When you go around it, you're just sort of gently compressing and molding it, not, you know, crushing it. So that's another important point. So that kind of gives us an idea of what a connection would look like, and then I would just trim off my wires. I don't think I have a cone. I'm trying to think if I have a cone here. I might in my Jesse James bead stuff. So let me root through there real fast and see if there's a cone in here that would work. Talk amongst yourselves. Here, look at all these fun knitting spool ideas while I root around for a cone. Or better yet, go to the website and start thinking about what cool things you might buy. Oh, here's one. This is kind of a little one, but it'll do in a crisis. Yeah, it might be a little too small for this guy. Yeah. Little too small. So the general idea, so I don't have to root around anymore, is you're going to pull your cone over the top of this. And this is what a cone looks like, you guys, if you've never seen one before. It's like a funnel. It has one small end and then one big end. And the big end, like in this case, goes over the top of the wire, and the small end is where you're attaching. And so you string that up over the top of this guy, and then you're gonna wire wrap on the other side to attach to a clasp. So here are some knitting spool ideas that I pulled from the gallery that I was gonna show you. I have a few. This is the one that I'm teaching a variation of here in the Bay Area. If you have any interest in coming and learning the ins and outs of knitting on a spool, I'd love to see you. This I think is called Style 2, I'm gonna guess, on the website. And it is a lot of fun. It takes a lot of wire though. And this is using our Tranquility Trio, so it's got 3 colors of beading wire in it. This guy uses the turquoise and the copper together, and it's a similar style, you can see, as this blue one. And then this, I think, is Style 1. And Style 1's kind of cool because it's so wide when you do it on like a 5-peg knitting spool. You can actually string a bunch of beads through the center, which is really fun, especially if you do crystals. You can get some really cool stuff going there. So that kind of gives you an idea. I think this is done with a 3-peg, whereas this is done with a 5-peg. So that kind of gives you an idea of the difference there too. The 3-peg has less wire because it's only 3 of these little pegs that you're going around, whereas the 5 peg is going to get you a lot more wire. So it's going to be a thicker braid, basically, just, you know, no matter which type of knitting style you're using. Rochelle says, thank you for the pressure information, Sarah. When we are learning, especially, we tend to squeeze our pliers hard so things won't pull apart. Yeah, across it. Just about every bead show I can remember is somebody telling me that they can't figure out why their crimps are breaking. And it's usually a mixture of the crimps are low quality and you know, there's a lot of pressure being used. And you had to think about these little tiny crimp guys. Even the thicker ones, I mean, they've got a really thin metal wall. And so when you take that sharp point of the crimping plier and you apply a lot of pressure, I mean, it's just going to really rip into that wall and be a sore point. So it's more about molding the crimp to the shape than it is about, you know, really crushing it. But it does make sense. I totally get, like, when you want something to be tight and closed, you really use a lot of force. So I can see why that happens to people. It makes a lot of sense to me. Okay, so one of the other things I have here is I have some Weber's pliers, and I don't have all of them. I just have a few, but I was gonna show you guys what this looks like when you use them with the craft wire. And I've only really hit the surface with the Weber's. I haven't spent a really good amount of time with them, but they have a lot of great tutorials on their website. And if you use that Bead Show coupon, you can get 25% off on your Weber's even, which they're a pretty pricey tool. So it's a good opportunity to get like a pretty decent price on your Weber's pliers. So I'm going to go ahead and clip off my end using my flat side of my cutters. I almost always start with craft wire that way, so I'm getting a nice clean flat shape. And this is the smaller of the 2 pair round nose that we carry, and you can see every single Weber's plier has 2 different sizes. They've got the little and then they've got a bigger one. And let me show you, it's the same here with the triangles and with the squares, and then the last pair we have is like these round, but just bigger. I feel like these are small and the other ones are medium, or these are medium and the others are large. I don't remember, but I have the smaller of the 2 here. So one thing that I have found them really useful for that I like is for making connections. So if you want to make your own chain, you can do that very easily with these guys. I'm going to take the flat side of my cutters and I'm just going to snip. And I've got a really nice little S shape. Usually I would want to work harden this, so I'd probably get out my wire whacker, which I of course don't have right here with me, but maybe Thomas can post a link for that. Wire whacker is like 2 nylon slabs, and this sits on top of one of them, and then you slam down on top of it, and that work hardens the surface, which is something someone asked about earlier today. As the wire starts off soft, you want to make sure you're work hardening it so that it is going to stay in that nice, wonderful shape. So I'm going to make a couple of these, and then we can kind of link them together, and you guys can start thinking about all the different ways you could make your own chain. And if you think about it, this craft wire is so inexpensive. I'm using a 20 gauge, but you could use 18. You could even use 22 depending on the size of chain you want and the size of pliers that you're using. So right now I'm using a 20 gauge, and that's kind of my go-to gauge. I use 20 gauge quite a bit. So I'm going to just make a couple of those, and then we'll link them together. So I'm just going around the smaller guy, sliding off, and then I'm just putting my small guy right next to the loop I made and going in the opposite direction to make a bigger guy. And I'm using the flat side to cut so I get that nice straight connection there. And these are just like jump rings. You're not going to want to open them outward because that'll ruin your shape. You're just going to open them slightly up if you want to connect. And then you would interconnect your piece and go back down again. We can make a bunch of those, and you can make your own very long, beautiful chain. And with this wire, it's going to be hypoallergenic and non-tarnishing. I know I have a few aunts that have metal allergies, so they're always pretty grateful when I make them something using the craft wire, especially like ear wires, because they can actually wear them and they don't have to worry about having any allergies. Just go into clip. So we're just going to make a couple just so you guys can see. And you could add beads in here for sure. I'm going to close that up. I definitely would want to, I'm going to close date. I just don't have my work hardening tool here. You can also hammer. I prefer the wire whacker just because it does like a complete surface, which I think is really awesome. But a nylon tipped hammer or mallet is another great way to put it on a hard flat surface like a bench block, and then you want to just smack down on it. Debbie says, I like the pliers, never seen it before. The two sizes can be useful, very useful. It's nice that it's not all one size and you can pick up the same plier and make two different shapes. I really like that a lot. That's been helpful for me. So that's kind of a basic chain. I learned something really cool. I showed you guys how to use these guys to make jump rings, but I was having a mental block when I did it, and I did it in a way that didn't make as much sense as what I had been taught. So I'm going to show that again while I have them out and I have the chance. And again, guys, if there's anything specific that you want to see me do, that you've had questions about, just ask. Just like if you were at a real bead show and you were at my demonstration table, if I don't see your question here while I'm on the live video, I'll go back and answer it. So make sure, or if you end up watching this 2 days from now, I still answer questions. So I'd love to hear what your questions are. If you have any questions or demonstration ideas, I would love to hear those. And in the meantime, do go to our website, www.softflexcompany.com, and use that awesome bead show coupon. And I do have a giveaway. I'm going to talk about that next. So let's get through this and then we'll talk about the giveaway and see if there's anything else. I do have like a Kumihimo disc here and magical crimpers. There's a few other things we can kind of experiment with today. So I want to make a quick jump ring with this just so you guys can see how that works. Sarah says, Rochelle says, Sarah, I learned Viking knitting on a dowel. Could you show us how to wrap the spools? That I do not know. Because I have done knitting on a spool and it's so very similar with soft legs, I have not learned Viking knit on a dowel. So that I cannot show you, unfortunately. But keep asking and, I'm sure there will be something else that will interest you that I can show you. Let's see. So I'm going to trim off my wire tip here. Now the key to making a jump ring with these guys is to start in the middle. So you'll see I'm actually putting the wire dead center of the triangle and then compressing down with the second half. And you can do it either way, the small or the big. I'm doing a big right now. And then you just sort of press as you come around the dowel, and you're gonna actually, I like to lift it off and move it so I can come all the way around, and then I can get a nice clean connection. And then you've got your little triangle guy. What I did last time, and it had been so long since I'd used the Webbers, I actually was trying to put the connection on the corner, and then it just does not look right. It's not even, it doesn't work well. And I was reminded after what I was doing wrong. I couldn't quite remember, but that's what that's gonna look like. Isn't that cool? And if you imagine like making a bunch of these and interconnecting them, they can be super cool too. And same with the square. You can make a square die as well. So again, ooh, and one other thing I wanted to mention is we have a really good shipping deal going right now. In the US, it's $5 till your order reaches $50. Then it's free shipping anywhere in the domestic US. And international, we just got a new shipping carrier. So although we can't give you free shipping, we have better rates than we've ever had before on our international shipping. So definitely do get a quote if you live internationally to see what kind of a price that'll be to get it to you. Okay, so let's make one using the square. I'm gonna do the same thing. Let me see if I can kind of show you. I'm gonna find the middle of the square. I'm gonna hold down on it and go around. I like to slide it off, put it back in so it's, you see it's kind of on the side there, and then go finish it off here. And I'm gonna take my cutters, and I'm telling you, with the 25% off coupon, you're not gonna find really a better price on the Webbers. I mean, it's a really good discount, you guys. So, closing it up, and here we go. We got a little square. Isn't that cool? And you can do it in 2 different sizes too. So let's do that. Let's actually look at what the other triangle size looks like. Since we're just playing here and having fun. Debbie says, wow, I love the Webbers. Must get both. They're pretty awesome, I have to say. So I think I did the big one here. So let's do the little one and see what it looks like. And my awkward hands. I still have kind of awkward hands with these because I haven't spent enough time using them, but they're so cool. Like, I'm pretty much the reason why we carry these, because I'm so intrigued by them, but I still haven't had the time really to explore them in a way that I would want to. Let's close that up. And you've got 2 little triangles. Let me bring them up close so you can see them a little better. So you can see there's 2 different sizes, which is pretty cool. I really like that. You could even just do these on an ear wire and they would hang on top of each other, which is kind of cool. So that is the Webbers and some of the Softlex craft wire, which comes in like tons of different colors and gauges. We have from 18 gauge all the way to 28 gauge, and 28 gauge is pretty darn thin. That's going to be when you're getting into like crocheting and knitting and basket weaving and embellishing. It's pretty thin. 18 gauge is the thickest. The numbers are backwards when it comes to craft wire. The thicker the bigger the gauge, the thinner the wire. So it can be a little confusing. Let's see, Stephanie says, do you need to harden those? I do, absolutely do, Stephanie. I was talking about that earlier. I normally would use a wire whacker, and I know Thomas posted the link once, but maybe he can link it again because it is just an incredible tool. It is 2 little nylon slabs, and actually, let's just get up. We're in Sonoma, so let's just go in. We're gonna sneak into the gallery. You guys ready for this? It's not open today, so there's probably no lights on or anything. Hopefully it's still unlocked. It is. Oh, good. It's dark in here. Okay, let me turn on some lights. Hopefully I'm pressing the right button here. Here it comes. Okay, so let's look real fast because I really want to show you guys if we have them. Ooh, there's one. Wire whacker. Yes. I got it. Okay, this is the great thing about being in Sonoma is I can go right in the gallery and like just borrow stuff. So it's really, really nice. Ta-da! Okay, so let me flip you back around and I'll open it up and show you how it works. Okay. All right. Let me scoop back in. Okay, so this is the wire whacker, and I'm actually going to physically open it. It's in a plastic wrap, of course. Oh, there goes the box. Okay, so this is the wire whacker, and it's pretty awesome. It's 2 nylon slabs. You stick your guy on it. This is going to be a little loud, so bear with me. You can actually do more than one guy. You don't have to do one at a time. You literally whack it. A few times is usually enough, but it work hardens the entire surface. And if I really yank on this, yes, it is going to come free. But for the most part, it's pretty sturdy once it's gone through the wire whacker. And you can see this is what it looks like on the cover. It says easy to handle, works with most wire gauges, won't mar or nick most types of wire, including gold, gold-filled, sterling silver, and copper wire, and wire diameter doesn't change. And they show, you know, 2 options. You can actually use a hammer, like put it down and then hammer it, or you can do the whacking. This is a cool tool. It's actually pretty inexpensive. I think it's $8.50 is what it's saying here. It's definitely a necessity if you're doing a lot of wire working where you're making shapes and you want those shapes to stay in place. So if you're using any of the wire jig tools, like you know, we sell wig jigs, but there's also the Brenda Schweeter jig out there too. It's a jig. Is that what it's called? Something like that. If you're using anything like that, you definitely want to make sure you've got some sort of work hardening system going, and this is a great one to use. Okay, so one other thing I had to show you, I don't know if you guys do have any interest in the Kumihimo disc. Should I go ahead and show that as well? Or do you guys prefer more like braiding? Or I could show you how to even knot around beads on the wire. Now that's a jig. That's what it is. Now that's a jig. Thank you. Oh, before we do anything else, while you're thinking about what we might demonstrate in our virtual bead show, let's do the giveaway. I'm super excited about the giveaway. So today's giveaway is this guy, and I gotta straighten I got my cameras all out of whack from when I went jogging into the gallery here. Okay, so this guy is a kit. Let me clear everything off of here, make room. This is called the ear candy kit, and it includes a number of items. This is the giveaway. To enter, Thomas will be posting a link. All you have to do is sign up for our email list. And even if you've signed up before, go ahead and sign up again. It won't mean that you get signed up twice. It'll just enter you into the giveaway. There will be a list that we'll get from our email company. So it comes with the Earring Projects booklet, which has 12 different earring project ideas. It comes with regular crimping pliers. It comes with a pair of bead nippers, a 30-foot or 10-foot spool of 019 basic wire, some ear wires, and then a 20 count package, which all the crimps are up at the top, a 20 count package of 2x2 millimeter crimp tubes. So this is the giveaway. All you have to do is follow the link Thomas just posted, sign up for our email. You can do it after the video, anytime in the next week. And in the next week, this ear candy kit with all this cool stuff in it. So part of being at a bead show is we always do a giveaway. So this is actually an even better giveaway than we would normally do at Bead and Button. Just like our discount is actually more than we would do at Bead and Button, but it's kind of our way of extending, you know, our bead show to the virtual world. Yeah, so I hope you guys will go. It is a handy booklet to have. And that booklet's for sale if you just want to buy it by itself. Let me show you real fast. And it won't be long until our book is done. Kristen is going to be putting up, for those of you that follow along on a regular basis, I'm writing a book with my coworker and friend Kristen Fagan. She's going to be putting up at least two cover ideas for our book, and you guys get to vote which cover we're going to end up using. So that's coming up soon. At any rate, this is an earring project booklet I did to go along with a class a long time ago. And it's actually going to go to all my students that I'm teaching an earring class to here in the Bay Area in the next few weeks. But it's nice because it lists all the different types of shopping materials. It lists all the different types of brands of wire. It has a wire diameter chart that talks about the different diameters and crimps to use, the crimping pliers and tools, and then of course how to crimp with regular crimping pliers, and then it jumps into all the projects. Now this came out before the magical crimpers were available and for sale through us, and so all these projects can be converted to magical crimper projects. For the most part, the ones using 2x2 crimp tubes, not the 3x3s that go at the end. There's some 3x3 crimp tube options, but the 2x2s can all be converted into a magical crimper project as well very easily. So go to the link, sign up for the giveaway, go to our website, use the sweet Bead Show coupon to get 25% off, or you can get an extra 10% off on that beginner kit if you've never done any beading before. This guy here that was in the blue bag, extra 10% off using coupon MAGICAL, MAGICAL, on this guy, and he's already discounted 20%, so you're getting a pretty good, nearly 30% off. So those were all my deals. I did my giveaway. Do you guys want to see one more demonstration before I head out of here? I can give you a couple options. We can do braiding on a macrame board, or we can do kumihimo, getting started on a kumihimo disc. What do you guys want to see the most? Kumihimo or braiding on a macrame? I'm just getting a bunch of yeses. Yes, all of the above. Rochelle says braiding. I'll let a couple more people respond before I get. Debbie says yes, please. Wire. Let me see. They have some projects on this. This is a huge macrame board, by the way. They have some projects on this macrame board. These are projects that I did. There are projects that were done here in the office, and I'll probably just pop them off, but I thought it was worth showing them to you. But look at some of the stuff you guys can do with Softlex, because it's so strong, it's so durable. It can really be used in a form and fashion that's different than a lot of other beading wires out there, and that includes straight macrame, but I'm going to do some braiding. So I'm just going to pop these off, and we will set some wire up to braid. Here's a finished bracelet too, so you can see. Isn't that cool? One of the things I love best about going to the bead show is seeing designs that I wouldn't normally get to see. So I did pull some designs here to the side of me, and I'll show those after we go through this last demonstration for those that want to stick around and hang out with me. So let me get a good color for braiding that you guys can see pretty well. I'm thinking my major go-to is always turquoise, so why don't we start with the turquoise here. I'm just going to do 2 long pieces because I'm not doing any specific design, or 3 long pieces, excuse me. I'm not going to really worry too much about how short or long they are. It'll probably just become a bracelet in the end, but I do want them to be all similar. I normally use a mini macrame board. That's what we sell on our website, and that is a much smaller version than what the demonstration is here underneath me, but you can see that's going to kind of fill up the screen. This guy is just huge, and I don't find the big one to be as easy to work with. Which is one of the reasons why we're not carrying it. It's just a little trickier because it is so big. I imagine it's good if you've got a big project, but with the mini guy, I typically will just keep moving it up as I need to, and it works really well. So I'm going to use a bead stopper to clip my wires. I've got 3 pieces of soft flex beading wire. I'm using the medium diameter, and like I said, I'm using my go-to green turquoise, so that looks like that there. And I'm just going to take my bead stopper and clip it on the ends here. And when you braid wire, it's just like braiding hair. I'm going to clip this guy up at the top here, if you guys can even see that. So you can see the bead stopper is actually holding the wire onto the macrame board, and then I can finish that off later. And I'm going to just braid just like you would braid hair. Left over right, right over left, left over right, right over left, just back and forth. Just like braiding hair. And it looks, I think the soft flex looks so beautiful when it's braided. It's just such like a gorgeous color. I'm gonna keep braiding. And just to remind you guys, we're doing a virtual bead show today because I didn't get to go to Bead and Button, but I'm trying to bring some of the things to you that you would normally see if you went to the Bead and Button show and went to the Soft Flex Company booth. So I have good deals. I have a great coupon discount, and you can find all the details on the Soft Flex Company website, www.softflexcompany.com. And the coupon is Bead Show for 25% off almost anything on our website, including our wire, our tools, our craft wire, our findings. And that's just sort of a way for us to bring, you know, the deal that we would normally bring to Bead and Button to everyone everywhere. It is only on retail pricing, so that's an important thing to note, but all of that's listed right there on our website. I also have a good deal if you're a brand new beader and you've never done beading before. You can use a magical coupon to get 10% off of a kit. And yeah, in the domestic USA, orders over $50 ship free too. One of the other things I'm bringing is demonstrations. So if you've never seen braided soft flex before, check that out. Doesn't that look so cool? And when it's in a design, it just looks pretty awesome. So I'm going to go through a couple of demonstration pieces that we would normally have at the show that I have access to here in the gallery, and then we'll go ahead and close out. Make sure you click that link that Thomas posted to join our email list and to enter the giveaway too. Okay, so this is a great design. I think this uses either sophisticated or elegant in our soft flex trios. And as you can see, it's 3 colors of soft flex. You're using this beautiful red coral, a black onyx, and then this looks like it is our bronze or antique brass, one of those colors. Isn't that pretty? One of my coworkers named Jamie Hogsett made this years ago, and it's just one of those designs that sort of can stand the test of time. It's just really gorgeous. Cindy says, I like this. I'm planning to teach my 7-year-old granddaughter friendship bracelets this summer, and this would be a good first project. Yes, I think if you mean the braiding, you are so right. And there are some great projects, and I'll try to give you a link later tonight when I go through all the comments. I have a really good link to a bangle bracelet that Jamie made. Speaking of Jamie, that would be perfect for some young girls to make. So I'll try to link that. This was in a issue of Jewelry Affair. It's a design that I created. It's one of the few designs where I didn't use a cone where it's connected because the knitting didn't come out that wonky. In hindsight, I kind of wish I would have used a cone still. I would have liked it a little bit better, but you know, it's a nice design. It's good. And it clasps here in the front and unclasps here. And this is all done using the patinas from Vintage. And this I did not make, but we've had this in our stash for beading shows since I started with the company, which is 18 years ago, believe it or not. This is done with bead crochet, and it's done with our Softflex 014 in the satin silver color. I have never gotten into bead crochet. It is something that's on my list that I would love to learn how to do. And maybe one of these years I will get to it. But I just wanted you to know that it is doable with Softflex, and you can kind of see the Softflex peeking through. It is doable with Softflex beading wire, and imagine how strong this bracelet is because it has that stainless steel beading wire underneath it rather than a thread, you know, that the beads are going to eat away at eventually. It is beautiful. I agree. It's really a nice bracelet. Rochelle says, I love using clasps in front of the necklace. They're so pretty and no one sees them when they're in the back. Yeah, I like clasps in the front too. I find that I'm doing that more and more. Here's another good design piece that's gone to lots of our bead shows over the years. I think this uses Kiss Me, I'm Irish. And the beads are from a company that no longer exists. It used to be in Maine, but you can still get beads like it from Leedy Lovendale. And she was the owner of that bead store, and now I believe she sells the beads online. So you'll have to look her up if you really like these beads. But you can see when you use 3 colors of Softflex together, it really layers it quite beautifully in a way that you just can't quite get that same contrast with just one single strand. And then you can do things like this too, where you're looping in and out of a bead and it's not completely stable, but that kind of makes it really fun. You know, it's just this is a really fun design. And it looks like Thomas is posting Kiss Me, I'm Irish, which is the trio that was used in this guy. It was either Kiss Me, I'm Irish or Renewal, but I think it's Kiss Me, I'm Irish. I think that's correct. Here is another guy. This guy, I think somebody sent to me as a present, I want to say. And it is, I didn't make it. It was given to me. But it's using our Mystical Trio, Softflex Trio, and I'm going to open it up so you guys can kind of see how it connects with a ribbon. It's just such a unique design. It's perfect for our bead show stash. Because it just shows how the wire can be crocheted into this flat pattern, but it still sort of is going to turn and make its own neat choker shape. So yeah, really very interesting, but lovely design that somebody sent me at some point, and I can't quite remember who that was. And then this just, you can see the ribbon just pulls through the wire here, and then they just intended for you to make a bow with the ribbon. I always like little closures that are so feminine. Yeah, the Mystical Trio is really pretty. If you liked the Fusion Beads color palette last week, you should check out the Mystical Trio because it's very, very similar, and it has some really pretty colors. It's got the pink tourmaline, the purple amethyst, and then I think it has maybe some spinel in it. It's just really, it's a pretty color combination. I really like that. Oh, and speaking of mystical, this was done by Jamie when our trios first came out too. It goes to bead shows all the time. And it's using those same colors, the pink tourmaline, the spinel, and the purple amethyst. But look at how cool this little piece is. This is a free project idea on our website too, by the way. So you can get instructions online if you want to see how to make it. But it's just got a crimp, big crimp, a 3x3 millimeter crimp using a mighty crimping plier. And then it's just attaching in like a big, huge connector. And then she just did some different CZs, and these are tourmalines here, these little tourmaline leaves. And then she connected them together with some craft wire connectors. Really pretty. Yeah, I really like these colors. Again, this is the Mystical Trio. And if you use coupon BEADSHOW, BEADSHOW, you can get 25% off of that Mystical Trio on our website, softflexcompany.com. This guy is the Tranquility Trio. So if you've ever wondered about making an illusion style necklace, this is sort of the primo version of that. It's got a bunch of strands in different colors of blue, and they're just in place with crimps and then crimp covers. You could totally do this with magical crimpers too, and just have the 2x2 crimp on either side of the bead. But then when you layer a bunch of them, it can create a really beautiful effect. This is the Tranquility Trio, which has tanzanite. It has blue lapis, which is just a really gorgeous color. And then it also has, I think this is called, I want to say it's blue turquoise, but it may have changed names. But Thomas can probably pull up the link for the Tranquility Trio, and it'll show all three colors there. That's pretty. Here's another Tranquility Trio necklace. This one is fun. This is a free project idea on our website, but it's a long necklace, no clasp, and it's just little rings using the three colors of beading wire and a crimp, and then you can add some beads on it too. And you just sort of interlock the rings, and then you can wear it, you know, as a full necklace. Let me see if I double it up, if you can kind of see it a little bit better on the screen here. So that's a fun guy. Yeah, it is very cute. Cindy's saying very cute. It's also very light and summery. So it's a great design for the summer, and it has a really cute pair of earrings as a project idea too, if you look in the earrings section of our project ideas. This, speaking of Kumihimo, which I don't think we'll get to today, but I will do again at some point on here. This is done on a Kumihimo board, and this is using our bone, our fluorite, and our peridot softflex beading wires. So that's got a really pretty braid to it. You can see they used a really consistent tension because the braid is just gorgeous. Usually they can get a little wonky if you don't keep the same tension all the way around using, you know, weights or just being real careful. So that's really pretty. I think you can make a really nice chain using that Kumihimo disc. And these are for sale on our website too, and also apply with the 25% off discount. So if you want to learn how to do Kumihimo, we have a Kumihimo book as well. And then there's some videos. If you go to our YouTube channel, we have videos. I think there might be a free project idea or two. So that's an option as well. And that is actually a design I had never even seen before that I found here at the gallery, but would be a great bead show design. Speaking of braiding, here is some braided soft flex. And I don't know exactly, it looks like this isn't finished off. This isn't my design. I know this piece here was made by Jamie, but I think this is done by someone else. And I don't know what their goal was. I assume they were trying to connect this in the middle of these beautiful CZs that are braided onto the wire, but somehow it slid over. But that kind of gives you an idea of what braiding with another color would look like. This is fluorite and yellow, and that fluorite is so pretty with the yellow. I would never choose those colors normally, but it looks quite nice, especially with the CZs. I can imagine this as being a really fun, cute bracelet. Oh, Rosa says, I made that one. Well, Rosa, isn't this supposed to go in the middle? I'm confused. Did it just slide over? That the problem? I really like the colors. I'm kind of like taken by this whole color palette. I would definitely wear this color. That's pretty. So good job. Good job on the colors, Rosa. Okay, and another braid. This is kind of a cool one. This is a Jamie Hogsett design. Again, I'm going through some designs that are here in the gallery that they would normally go to bead shows, but they're not ones that I made myself. So I probably haven't shown them to you before. But look at this. This is braided. This is our red jasper. And when she gets down to the bottom, she just stops braiding to add the beads. And then she picks the braiding back up again, up the second side. I think that is so cool. I really like that a lot. And all of our beads, you can't use the 25% off on the beads because they're already marked 50% off. I don't know if you guys know that, but all of our beads on the website, go to the bead section, they're all already discounted. So they are really a great price. But isn't that braiding pretty sweet? I like how it just like stops, she just stopped braiding at the bottom, let the beads hang. Cool stuff. This was a beadwork project. This I think I've shown you guys before. It was done on a loom. I used a Murix loom, which is the loom that I have at home that I use the most often. I don't know if you can do it on other looms. I assume you can figure out a way, but my experience is with a Murix loom. And I did it in a couple different colors. This is using the copper colored soft flex. And I think I used medium as the warp threads. And then I used just a thread to actually add the beads back and forth between those warp threads. And this guy, you would see this. We're doing sort of a show and tell for those of you that have joined us here at the end. We're doing a virtual bead show, and sort of the idea of like making sure you guys get deals and demonstrations, and you can see all sorts of different jewelry designs that you may not see normally. And I actually have a giveaway. If you look for a link that Thomas posted, you can join our email list, and I'm giving away a kit. So yeah, I hope you guys have been enjoying my virtual bead show in lieu of going to Bead and Button. And I hope you all feel like you got inspired in a new and different way. We did the knitting earlier today, and this is the difference between a 3 and a 5 peg again. You can see the 3 is going to be quite a bit smaller than the 5. This was in Bead Style magazine, these guys. And then that's a fun color combination. You've got a tanzanite, a pink tourmaline, and a citrine. And then you've got the yellow, oh, what do we call that? Yellow lemon citrine? Do I have yellow over here? I don't think I do. And then I love the yellow actually. And then the green turquoise and the citrine. Really pretty. And one last piece, Be My Valentine. This was done by Jamie. And it's so old. It really needs a polishing here. But that's not here nor there. That's easy to fix. What we're concerned about or thinking about more is how she put it together. You can see she crimped really beautifully these long dangles onto these beautiful, huge Swarovski crystals. So pretty. So I'm just gonna flip you guys over here so I can say goodbye to you. So I hope you guys had a really good time today. You definitely made me feel better about not being at the Bead and Button show. Kept my mind busy while I'm watching everybody post all their exciting news from the show. But I know there's a whole bunch of you out there that can't go too. So hopefully by spending a little bit of time together and getting through some of the things you would normally find at our booth, you enjoyed yourselves. Do use that coupon code BEADSHOW for your 25% off at www.softflexcompany.com and sign up for our email list so that you can get entered into the giveaway. You would be surprised. So many people don't enter giveaways, and then there's only a few people that end up getting chosen from. So even if you're on our email list, go sign up because it still will enter you for the giveaway. I really, really appreciate your spending some time with me today. So thank you, Sharon. Thank you, Rochelle. And I look forward to seeing all of you guys in 1 week. Do I have my paper with me? Yeah. 1 week, next Wednesday, June 14th, I'm doing a design challenge with Jesse James Beads. So it's going to be really good. It's actually, I have the box here. Let me show you real fast. It's heavy, you guys. It's going to be like a major, look at this box. It's bigger than my head. It's going to be a major show. So I hope you'll join me next week on Wednesday at 1 p.m. And believe it or not, I'm going to be live every week for the next 7 weeks because we have a bunch of stuff happening. I'm going to be doing very important beader packages that you'll be able to order, which will make me sort of your personal shopper in our gallery. I'm going to do some live auctions from Mike's personal stash. Mike is one of the owners of Softflex. He has an amazing stash of beads and he's willing to auction some of them off here on Facebook. So I'm going to do a live show about that. And then some of the things in the gallery that you guys can never see online because they're just too unique. There's just 1 or 2 of them, or each one is just so its own thing. I'm going to auction some of those off 1 week. So we've got a whole bunch of cool stuff coming up. I'm really excited to spend that time with you guys. So yeah, keep checking in, tuning in. Thanks for spending time with me today. I hope you guys enjoyed the virtual bead show. See you at our website, www.softflexcompany.com.